If this doesn't make your blood boil, I seriously do not know what would. Let's say, for example, you've made an offer on a property, and the next day you find out the vendor has accepted your offer. So happy days. Now you have to pay your 10% deposit, but it's, a work day. Let's say it's a Friday. And you've got a full day's worth of work. You don't have time to go into the bank and, let's say, increase your transfer limit, because 10% of, any purchase these days, let's say it's $1 million, that's $100,000. You can't just simply make that transfer just here and there. So you can't do it. And what you do is you contact the agent and tell them, hey, it's, very late notice. You don't have time, but you try to, but you can't. You just simply can't. Depending on whatever you do, you might even be a registered nurse and you just can't get out. And let's say, the next day you're able to go to the bank on a Saturday and, tell the guys that, hey, increase my transfer limit because you just purchased a property. But for whatever reason, that day you went to the branch and you've ran into a Karen that don't want to increase your limit because they think that you're involved in some type of scam or whatever it is, okay? And you're simply only allowed to make a small transaction of half the amount. Let's say it's $50,000. So not the full amount, only half of it. So you wait till the next day where you transfer the remaining amount. And you think it's all done. You've done your 10% deposits. It's all clear, right? Yes, you were 1 or 2 days late, whatever, right? And then a couple of days later, you don't hear anything and you think, hey, what's going on? And you give the real estate agent a call and you're like, hey, I'm just wondering how everything's progressing. Little do you know, you found out vendor has now pulled out the deal because you did not pay your 10% deposit right there and then when it was actually required to be paid, which was a due date. That is huge. If that was me, that guy is seeing a guy in a balaclava that night. But look, as part of the contract, you do need to pay your 10% deposit when it is due. So always have your money ready to go in the bank. Have your transfer limit set pre-making any offers, because you don't want to run into this type of situation. Or at the very bare minimum, speak with the agent on real expectations and tell them that, hey, based on, me making this offer, I will only be able to pay your, 10% deposit or whatever deposit you agreed on in X amount of days due to, technical issues, the banks or whatever it is, to avoid this from happening. But, yeah, that's what happened. This is exactly what happened to this guy. And I don't know what to say, but if that was me, I'd be flipping everything over.